everybody. Welcome back to Black Tea, the podcast that is all about Black women in advertising. I'm your host, Michelle Lawrence, and I'm here today with Sophia Powe. Hey, Sophia.
Hey, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Please tell people what you do and where you're based.
All right. So I am a partner and chief marketing communications officer for Myosin Marketing, which is a growth marketing accelerator. And currently I call Austin home. So yeah, Austin, Texas.
Okay, cool. So a growth marketing accelerator, break that down for us, for those of us on the agency side that don't know all of those fancy marketing words. What is it that Myosin does?
Essentially, we are a full service marketing agency. So we do everything from media buying to, advertising, creative, brand narratives, internal comms, literally anything a brand needs to increase its visibility, engage meaningfully with its customers, and grow. We call ourselves a growth accelerator because we're truly focused on what are your key objectives and how do we get you there fast, but also in a way that drives true, meaningful connections with your audiences. So a lot of agencies, I come from an agency background. So much time is spent in like the admin and like the planning and all of that, which is great. It's important, but we really want to get to what you need to get done so that we can just keep moving because we
Mhm.
love working on different brands. That's why we're an agency. We want to keep the creativity flowing. And if we're too stagnant in one area or we're not helping you achieve your goals, then there's no point. So we're all about like growth and performance.
I love that. So how did you find your way into the marketing world? What's your origin story in this space?
Oh gosh, it was like an accident, but not. So, I grew up in a Caribbean, my mom was Caribbean, and so there were like certain things you could do that were like deemed successful, right? So like finance or lawyer or whatever. And so I studied finance. Don't know why. I'm not great at it. Like that is not my superpower. But I did, and then I graduated and got a job at a financial institution. My mom passed away a month before I graduated, so I was kind of like lost, just doing this thing. And then the economy started tanking about a year or so after, and everyone's getting laid off, and I was just like directionless, didn't know what I was going to do. I
Mhm.
ended up moving to California, which was a bankrupt state at the time. So it was like the literally one of the worst moves I could make.
Mhm.
And I was competing, a year or so out of school, competing with people who had 20 plus years of finance experience, trying to get a job. Was not happening. But I was completely on my own. Like I had nowhere to go. So it was like make money or I don't know, no other option.
Alternative. Yeah.
So yeah. So I ended up being very resourceful and I got a brand project for a nonprofit. Now, at that time, I had no practical marketing experience, only stuff I learned in business school.
Mhm.
But it actually went really well. And the client loved it. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. But I always had this thing in the back of my head, like, no, you're supposed to be in finance. So
Mhm.
I got a job at JP Morgan, finally moved to Chicago, did that for a while. I was miserable. And I went to my boss's boss one day and I was like, hey, what's the possibility of me like moving to the PR department? And she literally laughed in my face, rightfully so, because like who goes from finance to PR
Yeah.
at JP Morgan? It's like, are you stupid? So I just took matter in my own hands, went to grad school, studied PR, corporate comms, and literally in my late 20s, started my career all over again as an intern at a PR agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have that in common. Not the finance part. I was never my bag, but starting over in your late 20s via grad school, I did the same thing. I was an art kid and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I was teaching art and I was like, this is the only job I've heard of that I can do with art. So it took a lot of discovery for me to even find out about advertising and then to pivot, and that takes a lot of bravery too. So I commend you on, being willing to turn around and kind of start over. It's awesome.
Same to you. Same to you. We did it. We did it.
Get it. Okay, so I'm curious, now that you've been in the marketing industry, it sounds like for quite some time, can you speak on a challenge that you've had to deal with, because of just being a Black woman in this industry. And how did you manage that challenge?
Yeah, that's like which one to pick
I know.
from,
Yeah.
really? And to make it worse, I was largely in like technology, which is an especially predominant white field. Um, one that really stands out to me was so I was at agency and I had just been promoted to director.
Mhm.
And a colleague of mine, same time, we were there the same time, he did not get promoted, white male, did not get promoted. And I was not fishing. We were just talking. We were good friends. And he just was like, hey, I got a raise. Like, this is how much they're paying me. And I was like, cool, exactly the same amount that they were paying me, even though I had gotten the raise.
After the promotion. Okay. Mhm.
I got the promotion, yeah, and it was exactly the same. There was no real reason for it. And I was just like, this is weird to me.
Mhm.
Mind you, the agency already had some issues with discrimination in the past. I was like, hey, I just want to know what's going on. And so I talked to my boss, and that got laddered up to like the president. And I think if they had given me any kind of thoughtful response that was like, I actually care about your feelings, we would have been in a good place. But they turned the tables on me and said, well, you shouldn't be talking about your salary anyway. And I'm like, well, I wasn't. He just shared.
Mhm.
But there was just no, they had
Right.
no answer for like why that happened.
Yeah.
So I decided that I was going to stand up for myself and I just started looking for a new opportunity. And I actually got an amazing opportunity. And so, yeah, I was super happy about it. It was a dream job. Um, but yeah, I just had to say, you know what, if you guys aren't going to value me or at least respect me enough to care about how you answer this question, then I guess I don't have to be here.
Yeah. Amazing. And props to you for standing up for yourself too, because it's easy to kind of be annoyed by that for a little while and then talk yourself out of saying anything. But it's so necessary for us to chip away at that every chance we get. So, and I'm glad you found, and it sounds like there was better right around the corner, and there usually is. If you're at a place that does not value you, then that's not your place. That's not your place. So, I love that for you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about marketing reimagined. What is that for you, and why did you create it?
I am so excited about this. So everyone in advertising, um, basically we figured out a way. So at Myosin, we're very focused on doing good in the world. That's like what we love to do. We find ways to do it any way we can. It ladders up to our parent company and just everything we touch. And we're pumped because we found a way for brands to allocate a portion of their ad spend to social impact without sacrificing their returns, their visibility, and spending basically no money doing it.
Okay.
So I mean, a case by case basis, but I'll give
Yeah.
you a good example. So essentially, what happens is a brand will comes to Myosin and says, okay, I want to do marketing reimagined. Cool. Who do you want to reach? Who is your target audience? And we go way beyond demographics, right? Because so many agencies get in this trap of like, oh, I want to reach a Black woman between 30 and 40 years old. We're not
Right.
all the same,
Right.
right? We all have different interests as much as you'd like to bucket us in a certain thing. So we look at psychographics, we look at consumption behaviors, like we hyper target what your audience is. And then we ask you, okay, well, what causes do you want to support? So maybe you want to support mental health or female empowerment. And so we have over 300 nonprofit partners. And that brand can say, okay, I want to do like mental health. So let's gather these mental health nonprofits. So then the next step is we get your audience, you have your nonprofits, you've already allocated a portion of your ad spend to like going through this initiative. Now we send a message via like over 200 million data records of people, a text message,
Okay.
not an intrusive one, not spam, through the nonprofit that says, hey, let's say Coca-Cola, for example. Coke, instead of spending more money on advertising, is going to give $10,000 this month to mental health causes. Michelle, would you like to take $10 of Coke's money and pick a nonprofit you want that $10 to go to?
Cool.
Yeah. And so you get to pick that donation gets sent in your name and you've not spent a dime. So you've redirected Coca-Cola's money to a nonprofit you both care about. And in that, you're getting engagement with Coca-Cola. Through that engagement, then you're basically saying to Coke, okay, I can get down with you reaching out to me again, maybe. And so Coke can then follow up and say, Michelle, thank you so much for helping us donate that money. Here's $5 off your next pack of Coke.
Mm-hmm. That's
And so,
beautiful.
yeah,
I
it's,
love that. It's kind of like when you go to the grocery store and they're like, "Do you want to round up?" And it's really like it's like a small sacrifice for the companies to just go ahead and like round that money up, those media dollars up, and it makes such a huge impact. And I love that personal connection of sort of the consumer seeing the good that's being done. So it's like, it's self-serving, but it also serves the greater causes that it serves. So that's good. I mean,
yeah.
I'm always kind of thinking about, ways to sort of balance out what what I contribute to the world in terms of advertising. And it's like, I know I'm out here just pushing people to spend money. So, what's the good thing that I can also do to sort of, to have like a neutral carbon footprint in terms of like the ethos of our society.
Yeah.
So that's really good. You found a way to kind of do it all in one fell swoop. Um, and that's cool. You've also talked about believing in an energy first culture rather than people first. So, what does that mean, and why do you feel like it's the way to go?
Yeah. Well, I think, geez, I mean, we're a little weird over here. But energy first is, I mean, we're all energy, right? And like, so a good example of this is if you're having a bad day, and then like you start off having a bad day, and then next thing you know, like you spilled coffee on yourself and you're stuck in traffic and all this stuff, like we're emitting all this energy that's like attracting back that type of
Mhm.
energy.
Mhm.
So you can't run from how you're feeling. You can't run from your energy. And we know that like there's been for so long we've tried to separate people and business, but you're that same person. So if something's going wrong in your personal life, it's going to affect your work and
Mhm.
vice versa. And so we like to look at literally the whole holistic person. Like we care about what's happening with you, not just because it's going to impact how you show up at work, but because we actually give a crap about you as a person. And we want to help everybody kind of grow into their purpose and live in that purpose abundantly. So, if you're having a hard day, let's talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, that's cool, but we're here for you. And so we very much look at the whole person. It's a vibe check for us, not just a skill set check. So how do we get along? Do you have our values, integrity, love, courage? Like we use a lot of things that a lot of businesses don't use, but we're here for it. And I love our culture. I love our team. I mean, we're great. I'm biased, but we're pretty great.
Amazing. And okay, so now I hear you're starting yet another new business. Tell us about that.
Because I'm crazy, apparently.
Sounds like, I mean, you just like to have a lot to do. So-
Yeah, I do. I do. I think so. So it stems from I had a non-traditional childhood. Some might call it traumatic. So sexual abuse, high-speed car gun chases. I mean, I've gone through stuff.
Wow.
And for so long, I buried it, right? I never, addressed it. And it shaped how I interacted with people. It shaped my relationships, the men I chose, like, I mean, all the things.
Mhm.
And I just pretended for so long that everything was okay. And one day, one of my best girlfriends that I've known since I was 13, I mean, I was in my 30s at the point where I finally told her what was happening, and she was there the whole time and didn't know. And I'm like, why did I pretend for so long that everything was okay? And so I see some, my girlfriends, like they're in marriages that they're maybe not happy in and all these things. And we're all pretending that everything is great on social media and we have to be perfect and, don't complain too much or whatever.
Yeah.
So long story short is I'm on a mission because I'm a storyteller at heart to go around the world and tell stories of women from every background, every demographic, income level, whatever, and like stories of, you know, things that everyone can relate to. So it doesn't matter what you look like or how much money you make. Like we all know, when did you first fall in love? When did you get your heart broken? And let's talk about those things that we are afraid to talk about because we feel that we're alone and that people won't understand.
Yeah.
And so I believe that there's like massive healing in being vulnerable. And the more we start being vulnerable as women, the more power we take back for ourselves. And also, we stop some of this generational nonsense that keeps happening because no one wants to talk.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the new thing.
So wait, so what shape does that take? What are we talking here? Is it like a support group type thing? Is it like a media series? What are we talking about?
Yeah, like I think it's going to be social. I have a bunch of women already lined up. I'd love to have you on there as well. Yeah,
Stuff to talk
and
about?
it's going to go along with a foundation. So it's creating awareness, and then, we'll be doing fundraising, highlighting different women, different causes around the world, raising money for them. But it really is just probably mostly social media, I would say.
Yeah, I love
Work.
it. Well, that's so exciting, and I can't wait to see those conversations come out. I think it's interesting how often we feel like we have to project that we're killing it when sometimes it's killing us. And there's not enough I don't think exposure of that side of things. And I think that's what spreads along a lot of different just like chapters of life. The same thing about like when I became a mother, and I felt like everybody was making it look so cute, you know what I mean? Just the whole pregnancy thing and the baby phase and all of those things. And it's like, you feel like you have to be as cute. And when you're not, it's like, okay, what's wrong with me? Like, why is
Mhm.
my way harder when it looks like everybody else is just out here like killing it? And I think that being vulnerable about that and being open about that and seeing other moms that had been open about that really helped me kind of get through it. And also, I felt like it was almost my responsibility to be open about what I was going through so that other mothers wouldn't feel like they were in it by themselves. I love to hear that throughout your career, that kind of red thread of doing good with what you are good at doing. I don't know why I have so many, like, I'm good with slogans today,
I
apparently.
love that
But,
though. I love
but you
that.
know what I mean? I think it's you're doing good with what you can do. So this has been such a joy and an honor to talk to you. I can't wait to see what you come up with, what you do, and what your new business ends up becoming. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And everybody out there, thank you so much for watching this episode of Black Tea. Go to musebycleo.com/category/black tea to check out all of our other episodes and follow us on Instagram @sipblacktea. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.